This is the All Signs Love read for the month of January, determined by asteroidal astrology. This is different, completely different from your usual tropical astrology, where they interpret planetary positions and that's it. I'm going to squeeze the juice from 6 asteroids of love to give you the most accurate read on the energy of the month. So if you're a tarot reader, this is perfect because you can confirm timing and make sure your readings are all spot on. No spirits in this one, just mathematics, which makes it even more reliable, I think, than tarot readings. Of course, this is dependent on all the asteroids being activated by Allah, as He has the power to switch off any energy, whether it's asteroid or planet, to further test you. This is a general read, but it's a damn good one, so take it with a spoon of salt. On the 13th of January, I'm going to look at the full moon position in Cancer. I'm going to take the astrology, the asteroidal astrology from there. But first I'll quickly assess the full moon concept, the full moon position in terms of the mansions concept. So the full moon on the 13th is in Cancer, highly emotional waters. This is a time when secrets come to light. The mansion and the manzil. So the mansion in this position is Atraf, and I've gone through this in my previous Bitcoin crypto analysis of financial forecasts. So if you want to understand this better, look back to that video. But let me run through it quickly here. So Atraf is basically the glance of the lion's eye, and essentially it's telling us to look out and be cautious and protect what we have. And this is a theme that will also resonate later on when I talk more about the rest of the astrology. Aziz is a name given to this mansion by Ibn Arabi, and Aziz is a word which means something precious. Could be a precious friend, but in this mansion it's more specific to minerals and metals. So that's something, again, I'm going to come back to and touch upon for each of the zodiac signs when I get into the astrology, the asteroidal astrology, as to how it relates and what it means. The tarot card in this manzil and mansion is the Four of Cups. And if you look at the Four of Cups, essentially there's a guy that has buckets of treasure, but he's not looking at any of it. He's looking away out the window, thinking about what he could have, what else he could have. So, in other words, it's a message to be grateful for what you do have now. The fixed star is Procyon at this position, 25 degrees Cancer. Procyon gives you this energy of acting swiftly and quickly, essentially being decisive. But this is going to be a testing star for all of us in different ways. I'll come to that later on. The letter going further than the fixed star, which nobody does. So we've gone quite high here. The full moon, the mansion under which it sits in the sky, and then to the fixed star. And now, beyond that, the fixed star is associated to 2 things. One is a letter, Arabic letter, and the second is a number, a huruf number. Now the letter is actually Jim, J, in other words, starting with the J, but the letter in Arabic is Jim. And Jim essentially is telling us to have some balanced communication. The number 3 is a very special number, as I'm sure a lot of you know. But it's about manifesting our thoughts, our spirituality into the 3D, so into reality. And this is going to be helpful, again, in different ways. And I'm going to analyze that for each of the zodiac signs to develop the theme. So you see how a story is already developing in the full moon position itself, right? There's a theme of protection of what we have. Quick decision making, either it's positive or negative, and you have to be more careful, if especially you are a Cancer, because it's in Cancer. Or if you are a quick thinker and a quick decision maker, action-orientated Aries, and quick and straightforward talker, Sagittarius, right? So these are the 3 main signs I think are going to be affected by the test of Procyon, but I'm going to analyze it for all the signs next. We start with Aries. So Aries, your relationships this month are getting a serious look as Amor. Well, let me talk to you about the different asteroids first before I tell you more about the different signs. So to understand the asteroids I'm going to be looking at, 6 of them. The first one, the most important one, is Amor, which is the asteroid of love, essentially. But it is in retrograde in this position for all the zodiac signs. So there is a reconnection from the past, trying to resolve what is essentially unresolved, and patterns, maybe even communication that comes about, that it might be some communication that essentially sorts out whatever happened before, any arguments in the past, or it might be a reconnection, a rekindling, a resolution to these things. So a new connection or a new connection with the same person develops. So this is the asteroidal theme of Amor retrograde. Juno is the second one, and Juno is often looked at as the marriage asteroid, but it's not just marriage, it's the theme or the discussion or the development of shared responsibilities. The discussion of getting married is usually what it's all about, long-term partnerships. Third is we have Vesta, which is about having devotion and dedication. And so this placement of Vesta, whatever it is, tells us what we are most loyal to and what we're willing to sacrifice for these things. Now, that comes back to the sacrifice energy of the mansions, doesn't it? So, especially with the Four of Cups tarot card in that deacon, what we're being grateful for. Anyway, the next one is Psyche. Psyche is an asteroid, which is basically the soulmate asteroid of the skies. I'll tell you more about Psyche and how you unravel this in your specific zodiac reading. But it's just a mental, it's basically a mental asteroid, right? You're going to be thinking in certain ways, and Psyche is going to make you think in certain ways and shape your mind, and the way you think and the way you talk potentially will be coming from the way you think. But there will be some issues around how Psyche is able to manifest, in other words, how you're able to express what's in your mind. So we'll get into that later on. The fifth one is Eros. Eros is basically the asteroid of passion and desire, of essentially lust, the best way to put it. I think everybody's heard of Eros in one way or the other, sexual attraction basically. And Lilith is the last one. Lilith is often misunderstood as being some dark female entity. It's nothing like that whatsoever. There's one thing called Lilith, which is an invisible point, a black moon, which is not a real asteroid, and it's not a real person. It's just a story that's come about in the Jewish texts, later Jewish texts, not the earlier ones. But Lilith itself, the asteroid, is a completely different thing. It's a physical object. Well, I won't say physical object, but it's a physical entity, which is an asteroid and represents independence, rebellion, and confronting emotional wounds. So Lilith does have these themes that is essentially tied to the dark moon, black moon, Lilith, but it's not as bad. It's not as gruesome as what they make Lilith out to be. So let's start with Aries. Aries relationships this month are getting a really serious look because of Amor retrograde moving through Gemini, which is your third house of communication. And it's like basically being handed a notepad and being told to write down all those conversations you've had with people in the past, or this specific person, because Amor retrograde is a specific person, and where feelings were left unresolved. Arguments basically finished without completion. So you might hear from an ex, an old flame, and this time the words exchanged could be ones which bring, like I said before, either a closure or a surprising resolution that leads to a reconnection. But Amor retrograde is also in Gemini, is also square the Venus in Pisces. So Venus is in your 12th house. And so tension in your 12th house here, because it's a square, can make it feel like your heart is pulling you toward emotional closeness, but your Piscean mind in your 12th house is overthinking everything. Imagine texting someone you love, or you have close affection for, but you're struggling to find the words because you're afraid that they won't get you. Right, so this brings me back to how Procyon is pushing you to speak, but the way you're going to be able to communicate this is if you learn that Gem is about being balanced. So you're going to be pushed to say what you want to say from your end, but the key to getting through this is to not be biased as to how you feel about the whole situation, but to look at both sides of the coin. Understand the other person as much as you understand yourself, and be your own mediator in the whole scenario. So if you're in a relationship with if you're coupled up, basically this energy might show up as miscommunication about your deeper feelings. So there's a risk of miscommunication, but you've got to remember I said Aries are going to be affected more so because they are fiery and they like to be decisive and act swiftly, and Procyon will push you to do that. But regardless whether it's a couple or whether you're single and you've got a flame coming back, it's important to be balanced in your communication. Mars retrograde as well in Cancer at this point in time is going to put you into strategic mode as opposed to driving mode. So it's a little bit in your favour with Mars. Venus for you in Pisces, like I said before, in Pisces, the mental past that is going to come up for you is tredecile, which is like 108 degrees aspect hardly anybody talks about. It's tredecile to Juno and your 8th house of intimacy. So this is a little bit of luck. Something goes wrong first for the tredecile before it actually leads you to a better path. So it's like an error, a mistake that turns out to be lucky. Chiron in Aries is in your 1st house of self. I hope that made sense. I mean, I'm not going to get into too much detail because it will really confuse the hell out of you. But essentially, I just want to get the message across. Chiron is in Aries in your own house, which is in your 1st house of self, but it's in a sharp square with Lilith. With Lilith and Eros, actually, both Lilith and Eros are conjunct in the house of Capricorn, which is your 10th house of career. So Chiron squaring your house of career, essentially, is going to make you feel torn between what you want to focus on in terms of your goals and what you want to focus on in terms of your personal life. So maybe you're pouring way too much energy into your work, where your Lilith and where your Eros is, where your desire is, where your deep dark passion is, your independence is. But your Chiron in your 1st house of self is talking about yourself and your partnerships, because it's the 1st and the 7th, right? Tango between the two of them. Your partner might feel left behind. That might affect you. Or if you're single, you might be too busy to let someone come along and access your life. The square is going to make you slow down and look at whether your desire or your success, or for your success, is masking your fears of rejection or failure in a relationship. So you're keeping yourself busy in work to stop you from failing in the relationship, but that's ultimately going to fail the relationship. Lilith and Eros conjunct together in Capricorn in your career house is going to spice up your career life. You're going to feel magnetic and ambitious to other people who notice you. But this magnetism can start up drama, especially if someone is feeling like they're not getting enough of your time and attention. You're giving it to somebody else. So there's some jealousy at work, basically. Vesta is in Scorpio. Vesta, the hard worker. Focus and dedication is going to be trining your Psyche asteroid. Now, Psyche I talked about earlier on as being the mental picture. So where the softer side of you with your relationships might come into play with yourself and your partner trying to get together and be more spiritual. Psyche is in Pisces, in your 12th house, so your mental game is all spirituality. So there's a good thing, journaling about your goals, what you want, might help you to decide what you want to do with your partner. But if you're single, this is an energy which nudges you to ask, what kind of connection is going to feed my soul? You're going to be way up in your head this month. But this month, your head, Psyche, is squaring Amor retrograde, which is going to bring up the challenge of being able to balance what you want in terms of love to feel like versus how it actually feels in everyday life. So think of this like the perfect rom-com moment, but realizing that it takes honest effort and it's a very messy conversation to get there. Juno is going to be sextiling Sun and trining the Moon. So Juno, the marriage, the long-term relationship discussion, is grounding all this emotional intensity in Capricorn and bringing it with it some practical stability or discussions of practical stability. And this is going to help you to deal with this ex-return or previous past unresolved issues as well. So whether you're single or taken, this is a reminder that the best relationships are built, relationships are built on trust and shared values, not just fleeting moments. So that's your Aries. Watch out for Procyon pushing you to make a decision which is too quick. But I don't think you will. I think you'll just feel challenged and you'll overcome that with all the other energies that are surrounding in terms of Mars retrograde and in terms of, the letter Gem, which will give you that balanced communication. You're going to think about this with Psyche and Gem coming together. You're going to think about how to be able to balance your communication so that you can bring that number 3 into being, which is, what you want for the future in this potential connection that might come up from the past, whether you want to finish it or whether you want it to continue. This is a time during the full moon when you're going to feel a little bit tested, but I'm sure you'll be able to overcome that. For Taurus, your 7th house of relationships is ruled by Scorpio. So this is meaning that Mars is the boss for Scorpio, and Mars is retrograde, we know, in moving through Cancer, right? So this is what we call derivative astrology. I start with derivative and then I get into the asteroidal. So you got to track where Mars is to understand what's going on in terms of your love life. And Mars in Cancer moving backwards is in your 3rd house of communication. This means that conversations, especially watery emotional ones, will feel heavier or be going around in circles. Maybe a disagreement with a partner keeps coming back up again and again, or someone from the past reaches out unexpectedly with Amor retrograde, looking to resolve something that was left hanging. Amor retrograde is in Gemini, in your 2nd house of values and self-worth and finances, essentially. Squaring, so that's not a good thing, it's a challenge, squaring Venus in your 11th house. So this could be tension in the 11th house between what you love for yourself, what you value in your relationship versus your social circle and community is reflecting back at you. Imagine your friends questioning a romantic decision you made, or you realizing that your partner doesn't fully understand your priorities. So try to get clear about what really matters to you and stand by it with your partner. With Venus, again, I talked about the tredicile earlier on, 108 degrees. It's a moment of luck, but it comes through a little bit of error. Something goes wrong that leads you to something better. Venus, tredicile, Juno. But I'm not going to get into that too much detail because not many people talk about it. I just wanted to mention it so that you understand if something like this does happen, it's not a small energy. A lot of people think of it as a small energy. It's actually a big thing, because it'll give you a little bit of luck, a little bit of a nudge. So wherever it comes and wherever it transpires in your life, let me know in the comments. It'll be interesting to see. I might focus more on trediciles in the future if it does transpire. Chiron in Aries for you. Chiron is in your 12th house of the deep mind, subconscious and past, but it's squaring both Lilith and Eros. Of course, in Capricorn, which is in your 9th house of your beliefs and travel, spirituality, learning, higher learning. So this is going to create tension around your deeper fears of being vulnerable in love. Maybe you've holding on to hurt from past relationships, making it hard to open up fully. But these are squares which will push you, there's no choice, it's going to push you to let go of the baggage and take a leap of faith in love, even if it feels scary. Lilith and Eros being conjunct in Capricorn in your, I think it's in your Taurus. In Capricorn, just a moment there. Yeah, in your 9th house. Sorry, just a moment. So both of these asteroids, lust, desire, shadow side, independence, are together in your 9th house of learning and new experiences. So you might meet someone while taking a class or planning a trip or being offered to meet someone generally. It might not be a romantic partner, it might be someone that you're wanting to connect with and help them out in certain ideas and projects that they have. It might want your help, essentially. So watch out for power struggles because of this square to Chiron. It could make you overly defensive if you feel someone is challenging your beliefs whilst you're trying to help them out. A little bit of tension while you try to help somebody out, or vice versa, somebody tries to help you out. But something through social circles is going to be important in this month. Vesta is in Scorpio, like before we told you, Vesta in Scorpio trines Psyche in Pisces. And so this is important because it deepens your emotional and spiritual connections with your partner. Vesta is where your hard work is, and Psyche is your mind. And so it's a great time to lean into activities that promote the closeness, like cooking together, talking about your dreams, going out for a walk. Anything that you can do together is going to help you break any tension that you might have, that you might be struggling with, or any kind of past issue returns. You're going to get the precious relationship. The precious little things in your relationship are important, right? So the small things are actually precious. This comes back to the mansion. Talking about Aziz. Aziz is this special little minerals. So special little minerals in your relationship. The small things are the special things, not the big stuff, not the big fancy gifts and all that kind of stuff and big parties. No. Do the small stuff which will help you to basically communicate with your partner and take you forward and manifest that number 3, which is into the reality. Whatever's in your mind comes into reality in your 3D. Psyche in Pisces, which is squaring Amor retrograde. Psyche for you and Amor retrograde for you is going to bring up some confusion about your romantic ideals versus the reality of your relationships. That's why earlier on what I said about Vesta is important, because it's going to help you. The small things that you value in your relationship is going to help you when it comes to the square between Psyche and Amor. Now, you might be realizing that what you thought you wanted isn't quite what's working out in your real life. So this is where you can adjust your expectations and communicate what you truly need from your relationship. And finally, Juno. Juno favoriting Sun, favoriting the Moon through the sextile and through the trine, is going to offer stability and grounding in your relationships. This is a month which starts off with a few bumps, but by the end, you'll feel more secure in your love life. But whether you're building something new or strengthening an existing bond, you're going to have to talk through this towards the end. Gemini, for you, your 7th house of partnerships is ruled by Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, so Jupiter is calling the shots here. Jupiter is in your 1st house of identity, obviously in Gemini, so your identity puts a spotlight back on you, making you feel extra charming and confident. But of course, Amor being retrograde in Gemini, in your sign, means that relationships are going to come to the forefront. You're going to be asked to reflect on how you've shown up in past relationships and whether you're expressing your true self in love. Amor retrograde in your own house is squaring Venus, of course, sitting in your 10th house of career and public image. So this is where tension between what you want emotionally and the pressure of maintaining a certain image comes about. So for example, maybe you're dating someone who doesn't fit your professional world, or you're struggling to find time for love because work is demanding so much of you. But Venus trining Juno, Juno being in your 6th house of daily routines and responsibilities, getting that trine from Venus, it means that you have supportive energy in encouraging you to have your practical actions to strengthen relationships. So if you're in a partnership, Venus trining Juno is going to help you again to focus on the little things, helping each other with chores, right? So this is a 6th house, chores, planning your day together and bringing you closer. And for singles, you might meet someone whilst you're tackling your to-do list or you're at work doing your daily routine. Some surprise comes about there. Chiron in Aries, for you, Chiron is in 11th house of friendships. And so your friendships house is squaring the Lilith and Eros conjunction of your 8th, intimacy. So your friendships and your intimacy house, or basically your shared resources, is facing a square. So it's being challenged, and you're highlighting your fears of losing control or being judged in close connections. So for example, you might worry about sharing a vulnerable truth with a partner, or feeling uncomfortable relying on someone else emotionally or financially. Lilith and Eros conjunct are basically going to bring you more magnetism and heat, but again that might stir up drama if any boundaries are unclear, that is. And they're square to Chiron, warning you against letting your insecurities cause you unnecessary friction. So for you, the challenge is to lean into trust building processes instead of actually pulling away from people. Vesta and Psyche together trining in your love life. This is kind of energy that makes you want to connect on a deeper level, whether it's discussing the big dreams with your partner or just journaling about what you're really looking for in love. Vesta is where you put the hard work in. Psyche is your mental picture. Okay, Psyche also is squaring Amor retrograde, and of course this is squaring back to yourself in Gemini, so pointing out a disconnection between your romantic ideals and the reality of your current situation. So you might feel like someone is living or isn't living up to your expectations, and you could realize that your own approach to love needs some fine-tuning. You're going back into the 1st house, so there's a lot of criticism of yourself here, as opposed to an ex coming back and you being critical of them. Juno, again, sextiling the sun, trining the moon, is grounding, because the sun is in Capricorn, is grounding all this emotional intensity with sort of practical support. So whether you're partnered up or you're single, you need to focus on building connections that will feel stable and nurturing, not just exciting in the fleeting moment. And for Cancer, the 7th house of partnerships is ruled by Capricorn. Capricorn's ruler is Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces. Pisces is in your 9th house of long-term vision and shared values. So this is suggesting that your relationships are focused on the bigger picture this month. Whether you and your partner want, or what you and your partner basically want in the long run. And of course, Amor retrograde. This is in Gemini. This is your 12th house of hidden matters. And so that's stirring up unresolved emotions or even secrets from the past, making you nostalgic about old relationships. So already you have this nostalgia before even Amor retrograde plays itself out. But Amor retrograde is squaring Venus. Of course, we know that Venus for you is in your 9th house. The 9th house, a tug of war between your emotional ideals and lingering doubts about relationships. So perhaps you're dreaming about a future with your partner, but unresolved issues are coming from the past, from Amor, making you second guess your plans with your current partner potentially. But if you're single, this could be a time when you actually do reconnect with someone from the past and re-examine your connection with them. Venus is trining Juno, and Juno is residing in your 5th house of romance. So this is an alignment which is again deeply supportive and encouraging emotional intimacy. Is a trine, right? So trine to Venus. And so there's creative ways you might find to express your feelings with this person who may come back from the past. But if you've been longing for deeper connections, this is a transit giving you the tools to build them. Singles might find romance through shared hobbies or maybe even some artistic projects. You might meet somebody through your social life in a way, right? Shared hobbies, things that you go out and do. It doesn't have to be the Aquarius 11th house. Anyway, Chiron in Aries is in your 10th house of career, which is squaring the Lilith conjunction with Eros. And Lilith and Eros are in your 7th house of partnerships. So this is a square building tension, showing up as struggles to balance the work demands. Your Chiron in your work demands. This is where you find your healing in work, with your relationship needs with Lilith and Eros. So maybe your partner feels neglected because you're focused on professional goals. This is a sort of a theme for January for a lot of us. You feel unsupported in your ambitions, maybe your work, what you want to do. Your partner sort of doesn't go along with it or finds you way too engrossed in it and wants some time from you, feels lonely. These are aspects that push you to open up yourself and share your struggles rather than bottling them up and focusing on your work. But with Lilith and Eros both together in Capricorn, they heighten the attraction and passion in your relationship anyway, but they also bring intensity. So you can picture like a heated debate with your partner that somehow ends in a stronger connection. Or if you're single, a magnetic pull towards someone you meet in a formal setting. But remember, the square back to Chiron is warning you against letting insecurities basically escalate into an unnecessary conflict. Balanced communication, remember that from Jean, comes from Jean. You need to think about that to help you deal with Lilith and Eros. Vesta, we can move on to Vesta, trining Psyche, your mind, spiritual depth, to your love life. You might feel drawn closer to emotional bonds, perhaps through meaningful conversations where you're trying to get out what's in your mind. But then, as we saw before, or one of the earlier signs, having some shared rituals and cooking together, meditating together, I don't know about cooking, but anyway, meditating together or doing certain activities together, going out playing golf, anything you can do to go out and see things randomly together will help. But if you're single, this is a great time to reflect on what truly matters in the partner that you seek. What kind of things do you want to do with them? Psyche is also square Amor retrograde, so pointing out where your expectations in love might not align with reality. If someone new enters your life, for example, or an old flame resurfaces, then you need to clarify whether they fit into the future that you're starting to build. Juno is sextile and trine, so sextile to the sun and trine to the moon. So these are favourable aspects, and they promote stability, and they essentially give you the chance, whether you're single or partnered up, to build something solid by staying grounded in your values and nurturing your emotional side. Cancer is basically up for a lot of past energy here. This is the biggest sign in the zodiac that's going to have something happen from the past, or some issues with a partner in the past, an old flame, an ex. If there's an ex return, it's coming for Cancer, mostly. Leo, your 7th house of partnerships is ruled by Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus, occupying your 10th house of career and reputation. So this is telling me that the relationship this month could be influenced by your professional or public image. Amor retrograde is in Gemini, in your 11th house of friendships. So a network pushes you to reflect on the role your social circle plays in your love life. Amor retrograde is square Venus, and so Venus in your 8th house of intimacy and shared resources is getting this challenged from your past love, connection, tension between what is your emotional need and your social obligations as well. Imagine trying to deepen your connection with a partner but feeling distracted by outside influences like friends and groups and basically chit chat, manipulation, these kind of things, right? Maybe even peer pressure can come into it. Singles might find themselves questioning whether a budding relationship can integrate into their broader social world and be accepted into the groups group that you usually connect with. Venus trining Juno. Juno is in your 4th house of home and family, and so Venus trining your home and family is really good. I mean, it's a great perfect strengthening. Perfect for strengthening your emotional foundation of your relationship. So this is going to help you, even if you do have a little challenge with society and all that kind of stuff. This is going to help you. Couples might have some heartfelt conversations about building a home together or creating a safe space for each other. And if you're single, someone with deep, grounded energy could come into your life, offering that stability that you've been seeking. Chiron in your 9th, squaring Lilith and Eros conjunct in your 6th. Right, so your tension here could be showing up in security about balancing your daily responsibilities with your 6th house, your daily responsibilities, squaring your 9th, with your larger vision for love and where you find healing. So for example, you might feel like you're stuck in a rut, that your daily grind is pulling you away from your romantic goals. You just don't get the time that you need. But Lilith and Eros together in this 6th house is adding passion and drive to your daily life too. You could meet someone through your work. Routine sparks your interest, but the square to Chiron is telling you to be careful. The fears of not being enough could hold you back. You are enough, so don't think that you're not. This is where Psyche comes into. I'll talk about Psyche later. Focus on building confidence in your ability to juggle the practical and the romantic aspects of your life. You find some time for someone somewhere. I'm going to come to Psyche in a second because it connects to that, but let me just explain. Vesta is trining Psyche as well, and this is creating opportunities and creativity kind of things. You might find opportunities to basically go out and do those things that you want to do, that will allow you to spend the time, go for coffee, go for art, I don't know, whatever it is. I'm not going to go on and on about meditation. This is too spiritual. Not everybody is as spiritual as me, but you've got to think of other things that you might enjoy doing, watching movies, Netflix, chill, anything. But Psyche itself in Pisces is squaring Amor retrograde. So you're going to reflect on whether your social priorities align with your emotional needs. Are you way too much into your groups? Are you influenced too much by certain people in your groups? Right? Is there a certain friend that basically tells you their opinions on your relationship and you follow them like they are, your father or your mother, or your elder sister or brother, as if what they say matters most? Are they controlling your relationship? That's what you got to think about with this square to Amor retrograde. You might have to draw clear boundaries between these friends or this particular friend and the person that you're romantically interested in to avoid any confusion and arguments that might come about later on through misunderstandings. Juno is sextile to the sun and trine to the moon, so reminding you to focus on stability and trust in your relationships. And so this is a month where you can build long-term connections, whether by resolving the old ones or by laying the groundwork for some new ones, as long as you're able to figure out where that influence is coming from in your groups and friend circle. Okay. For Virgo, your 7th house of partnerships is ruled by Pisces. Pisces ruler is Neptune. Neptune is currently in your 7th house as well. So this is bringing a dreamy, romantic vibe to your relationships, but it also can blur boundaries with Neptune being all airy-fairy, foggy illusions and make things feel quite unclear. And of course, Neptune in Pisces makes it even more foggy. Amor retrograde in your 10th house of career suggests that unresolved feelings tied to any professional connections you might have could come up. And so a romantic situation, someone at work, someone likes you, comes back into your life again, tries again, or your career aspirations, what you want, clashes with your relationship goals. Amor being retrograde, squaring Venus, this is tension between your emotional ideals and your practical realities in relationships. So if you're in a relationship, you could feel like feeling torn between following your dreams and staying aligned with your partner's goals. How selfish can you be, basically? Singles might find themselves drawn to someone who doesn't fit into their typical type but offers an opportunity to grow and explore. Venus in Pisces is trining Juno, so Juno is in your 3rd house of communication. This is a trine to Venus, so your house of communication is getting a fantastic help for conversations which are heartfelt. So if there's been a misunderstanding or any kind of distance with your partner, now's the time to talk it out. Singles might find themselves connecting with someone who shares their intellectual interests, possibly through someone close, being in the 3rd house, a sibling, someone close next to them, neighbour, or some local event. Chiron in Aries. Chiron is actually sitting in your 8th house of intimacy. Now, we know that it's squaring Lilith and Eros. And so Lilith and Eros for you are in your 5th house of romance and creativity and hobbies. But this square to Chiron in your 8th house of intimacy, this is a fifth house and 8th house square. So this is tension making you hesitate to fully open up to someone emotionally and enjoy basically the relationship. So if past hurts are still lingering on for you, you really want to dive into the deep end of the pool but feel unsure if the water's safe with this person. So be aware that this is the energy around and don't panic when you do sense it. Lilith and Eros intensify the romantic energy in your life. So Lilith and Eros being in your 5th house, you might feel a surge of attraction towards someone who's really ambitious and really creative. Now, if your partner, this could reignite passion, but be cautious because Chiron's influence suggests that fears are there surrounding trust and vulnerability, which will creep in to the relationship between your partner, even if there is intense passion. Vesta in Scorpio is trining Psyche, and so Psyche is Psyche is your mind, your mental picture, and Vesta is your hard work. But it's a trine, so this is a perfect time to explore, again, spiritual practices and hobbies together. Psyche in Pisces, though, is squaring Amor retrograde, and so for you, Pisces, Psyche in Pisces, giving you that square to your Gemini house. And your Gemini house, give me a second. Virgo, give me a second. Yeah, so if you're a Virgo and you have your asteroid in Gemini, now if I start with Aries, where's Aries? There we go, Aries, right? So I'm gonna go this way. So if you're Gemini, you're gonna have 2, 3, 4. If you're Virgo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Your house of career is what I said, didn't it? Yeah, I said that. So with your Psyche squaring Amor retrograde, your Amor retrograde being in Gemini in your 10th house of career, your mental picture is not exactly where your romantic picture is. So there's a clash between what you want and what you think of, and what's really happening in terms of your current relationship expectations. So maybe you're wanting a fairy tale romance while having to navigate these practical challenges in work. How you're going to basically overcome that is to find some balance. Of course, the letter G comes back into it, and some basically understanding that there are imperfections. You're not getting everything that you want. Psyche is not happy, but you're going to have to start sort of accept that and be grateful. Bringing us back to the Four of Cups kind of energy in the mansions. Juno, we know, is sextile to the Sun, trine to the Moon. So again, stability for you. So everyone's getting this sort of Juno help, is bringing together of relationships. Any relationship, long-term relationship discussion is going to get this boost from the Sun and from the Moon. Okay, so for Libra, we have the 7th house of partnerships ruled by Aries. And Aries' ruler is Mars. Mars is currently retrograde in Cancer in the 4th house of home and family. So this is suggesting that unresolved family issues or anything like that can come up and impact your relationship. Amor retrograde in Gemini is in your 9th house of beliefs and long distance connections as well. And of course, spiritual high learning, urging you to reflect on relationships which align with your broader life philosophy. Amor retrograde here. Amor retrograde is squaring, of course, Venus. But Venus is in your 6th house of routines and responsibilities. So you're feeling torn between focusing on the practical aspects of your life and pursuing the emotional closeness that you crave. So this could look like one partner prioritizing the work load, or not just be what you do for work. It could be extra things that you do after work, side business that you're looking to get into, that kind of thing, where you're as a couple, your partner is craving for the time that you're actually putting into these extra duties that you've developed. So quality time is being affected. And if you're single, you might reconnect with someone where they're probably traveling or studying with that with that 6th house. There might be some traveling, there might be some studying, and that could spark questions about whether you really are compatible with your lifestyles. Venus trining Juno, and this is in your 2nd house of your financial values, and it's a trine. Trine is good. Alignment brings harmony to your discussions about any shared goals and finances. So if you're in a relationship, Juno is relationship, is long-term relationship. If you're in one, it's an ideal time to align your priorities and work towards your common goals. But if you're single, someone with similar values might come into your life and offering that potential for a stable connection. So there could be a past energy that doesn't really feel compatible to you because of your work styles, but there could be another one that comes along and gives you what you're looking for. Or it could be that your partner themselves show you that you are together in a stable connection because of your shared priorities. Chiron being in Aries in your 7th house, Chiron squaring Lilith and Eros, the conjunction in the 4th house, is this tension again back into the family. And this is highlighting insecurities as well as about balancing your independence with the emotional side of things with Chiron in your 7th house. So you might feel like your partner, Chiron in 7th house, doesn't fully understand your autonomy, your 4th house, or your unresolved family issues. They fully don't understand it, right? So you're going to have to communicate this somehow with your balanced gene communication. Lilith and Eros together, conjunct in Capricorn, is going to add more passion, fire into your home life as you're dealing with the square to Chiron. But they can also stir up drama. So if you're in a relationship, this could manifest as a passionate argument that brings some unresolved issues to light here regarding your family. For singles, you might meet someone through family connections whilst addressing a personal project whilst you're at home. Right? So you might have some family come over, basically. Vesta in Scorpio is trining Psyche, and Psyche is going to bring some emotional, spiritual depth to your daily routines. So it's a good time to infuse love again into the everyday moments, little things together, hobbies together, just talking about your day. Get together as opposed to staying apart on your phone, for example. Psyche in square to Amor, retrograde, so again doing that loop coming back to Amor. Your mental mind is in conflict or in disconnect with your romantic ideals of Amor. This might make you question whether a relationship really does align with your beliefs or long-term goals, whether it's an ex or not. Use this time to really reflect on it and adjust and discuss. Think about what you want, and then use Juno, which is going to be sextile to the sun and trine to the moon. Use that Juno's long-term vision in relationships to provide that stability and the grounding. We have Scorpio for Scorpio 7th house. 7th house ruled by Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is in charge in Pisces this month. So Venus being in Pisces this month in your 5th house of romance and creativity and pleasure and kids and all that kind of stuff. This sets the tone for emotional and heartfelt connections in love. Meanwhile, Amor retrograde in Gemini is your 8th house of intimacy and shared resources. So this is nudging you to reflect on deep emotional ties and any unresolved financial trust issues in relationships as well, whilst you're trying to have fun. Amor retrograde, basically squaring your Venus, is creating a push and pull dynamic between your desire for emotional deep intimacy and your need for independence. So if you're in a relationship, this could bring up old arguments about how you share responsibilities or express some sort of vulnerability in your relationship. Singles might reconnect with someone from the past, starting up questions about whether to reopen that door or not. That's as much as it is, basically. That's what the energy is whether to or whether not to. Venus helping you out with Juno. And so Juno is in your 1st house. This is your power move in love. It's an alignment that allows you to feel emotionally magnetic and supported by your partner. And if you're single, you could attract someone who deeply values your emotional intensity and emotional loyalty. Chiron and Aries in your 6th house of routines. Chiron, where you want to heal, in your 6th house of routine and daily work, is squaring your Lilith and Eros in your 3rd house of communication. So this is about difficulty in expressing how you communicate in your how you daily communicate in your relationships. Are you holding back from saying how you truly feel because of your fear of being misunderstood? So this is the time to be open and honest with your communication. This is Jim coming back into it. Be balanced if you're having a difficult time in being able to communicate, but just don't get misled by Procyon. Scorpio is really fiery as well. Didn't mention that at the beginning. So you might be affected by Procyon's direct communication energy or swift decision making. And this tension with Chiron is going to be a testing time for you too. Now we know that Lilith and Eros amplify together here in the conjunction as to how you speak and connect with others. You might find yourself attracting admirers through thoughtful conversations if you're able to channel that Jim energy. But the square to Chiron, like I said, is again a warning of unresolved insecurities that might make you overthink the words that you're going to speak of. Vesta helps you out, trining with Pisces, do the good things between yourself and your partner, focus on the small things, the walk, the talk, cooking, or I don't know, doing things together, watching movies, going out, not being on your phone too much, learning things, traveling. Do these kind of things to build that spiritual, soulful bond and overcome this sort of lingering insecurity energy. Psyche, we know Psyche is your mental picture, squares your Amor retrograde. This is another complex layer to manage your emotional and financial connections, because we're talking about the 8th. We're talking about the which house are we talking about? Hold on. We're talking about your 8th house of intimacy, of course. With Amor retrograde, it's in your 8th. So your mental picture is not so happy with your financial picture and shared resources. So this is a little bit of a discussion about where your money is going, who's spending it, how much you're spending it on, or how much you're spending on what certain things. So I have to have a balance in terms of your financial relationship with others. Or it might be because the 8th house is shared resources. It could be obviously through family and inheritance and tax time. If January is tax time, so there may be some extra difficulty there for you to deal with these things as you are dealing with your own romantic life at the same time. Juno, of course, Juno we know is a long-term relationship asteroid, marriage and all that kind of stuff. This will help you ground your issues that you're having. So it's not all dark. This is a month where the relationships focus on emotional honesty, and so your shared values with your 8th house thriving here could really help you navigate the month. Sagittarius, you have the 7th house of partnerships ruled by Gemini. Gemini's ruler is Mercury. Mercury is in Capricorn, which is in your 2nd house of values, and so your 2nd house of finances. So this is about finances and priorities that might shape your relationships this month. And Amor retrograde is going to occupy your 7th house. And your 7th house is going to bring up old relationship patterns or past partners back into focus. Amor retrograde, we know, past partners, but it's squaring your Venus, creating tension between your romantic ideal and the need for stability. So what you want is going to be challenged. You might feel like your heart wants one thing and your practical considerations are pulling you away in a different direction. This could manifest as basically doubts about whether a relationship truly aligns with your long-term goals. And if you're single, you might reconnect with someone who challenges your current outlook on love. And so it might not be the a rom-com type of scenario. Venus in Pisces is trining Juno, and Juno's in your 12th house of the subconscious, deep mind and past dreams. This is an alignment which supports your healing and introspection in relationships, but also because it's a trine, it's supporting you, but it's allowing you to work through your fears and insecurities, which will come back, but it will come back to be overcome. Now, if your partner, this is a really good time to have heart-to-heart talks that will bring out the clarity and the trust between the two of you. You know, if you're able to share things that are deeply affecting you, which you never tell anybody else, then your partner starts to feel like you trust them. Chiron in Aries. Is your 5th house of romance and squaring. Your 5th house of romance is squaring Lilith and Eros conjunction in your 2nd house. So that financial thing is going to have a problem on your 5th house of fun, basically. So this is going to start up insecurities about your self-worth, about how they impact your love life. For instance, the question of whether you're offering enough in a relationship, or worry about your partner, whether your partner values you fully as well. This could obviously manifest in terms of some sort of monetary thing, whether they're spending enough money on you, for example, or vice versa. Lilith and Eros conjunct brings this magnetic energy, as we've been seeing for all of them, for all the signs. And when it comes to financial matters, it's going to bring some sort of ambience, right? Some sort of light. And so someone who might come into your life could admire your ambition. But the square to Chiron suggests that there are still some doubts that could complicate things as well. Vesta is going to trine Psyche. And so again, this is about the small things that you do, the small sort of habits, or not habits, but basically activities that you can do in daily life to enhance your devotion to your love life, and your relationship could strengthen this month because of the shared time that you put into each other, the quality time, right? So this is what truly matters in a relationship to either person. And so use that. If there are any challenges or any discussions that come up, any retrograde issues that come up with Amor, try to talk to your partner if you do have, whichever partner it is, whether it's ex or whether it's current, to get you through this energy, so you can basically align yourselves and not get thrown away by Procyon's energy of pushing you to be decisive about certain things that you might not want to be decisive about, because Mars, remember, is retrograde this month too. In Sagittarius, you like to speak directly. You like to just say what's on your mind. Psyche in Pisces is square to Amor retrograde, and like I said, there's a potential disconnect. This is basically further evidence, is what I just said a second ago. Misunderstandings might come about with this square, with what you're thinking and with what your partner is doing. So try to find opportunities to grow closer. And Juno is going to help you with that, with this sextile to the sun and trine to the moon. It's going to help you build that trust with your partner. So there's tests here which will challenge you. Just be aware of that, but the overall outcome is not going to be negative. Capricorn, for you, the 7th house of partnerships is ruled by Cancer. And so Cancer is in charge here. Cancer, the moon, well, yeah, the moon is in charge, right? So the moon is in Taurus. The moon in Taurus is basically your 5th house of romance and creativity and fun. So this is a time of nurturing, grounded energy in your love life. Amor retrograde, although is retrograde in Gemini, your 6th house of routines. So this is where it's going to ask you to reflect on how daily habits impact your relationships. It's also squared to Venus, of course, and so in your 3rd house of communication, we have Venus. In your 3rd house of communication, misunderstandings is a square to Amor retrograde. Misunderstandings, mismatched expectations, maybe between you and your partner. So, for example, maybe you feel like you're expressing your feelings clearly, but your partner thinks that, no, I'm getting a totally different message, the wrong end of the stick. Venus is going to help with trining Juno, so this is in your 11th house of friendships. And so emotional connections through shared things that you do. So you're going to build, if you can build with your partner in tasks, not just at home, get outside, go and connect with other people, maybe share a vision, some sort of thing that you're looking to do, accomplish in social life. Essentially share that with your partner. That might help you when it comes to these misunderstandings. And of course, I'm going to talk about later on with Vesta trining Psyche. It's the same thing. Vesta and trining Psyche is again getting to do the small things in life, the small little things, cooking, meditating, I don't know, whatever. Activities, golfing or sports and gym or whatever you can do together is going to help you get out of this kind of these challenges I'm going to talk about next. Chiron is in Aries, and that's in your 4th house of family. Squaring, that's the challenge I'm going to talk about, is Lilith and Eros conjunct in your 1st house. So your 1st house is squaring your home and family. This is insecurities about how much you're able to give in the relationships while staying true to your personal needs. Your family pulls you on one side and you have to pull on the other. How much do you sacrifice? So it's a time to reflect on balancing self-care with your role as a partner. You cannot help others unless you look after yourself. I know that first-hand experience. Looking after my parents, both of them together by myself. And I got completely dragged down. My health suffered physically and mentally without me looking after myself, without getting that time for myself. I wouldn't really be able to have accomplished the task that I was faced with. So this is important for everybody. Self-care first. Lilith and Eros conjunct, I talked about that already, but just explain that. For you in Capricorn, for you in your 1st house, is going to make you particularly magnetic this month. But Chiron square to Chiron is a warning to not to let your insecurities creep into yourself, to your own magnetism, and dampen you this month. This is a month of your self-doubt. You got to trust in your ability to basically navigate both your independence and your intimacy with others. Psyche in Pisces, so the mental picture is squaring Amor retrograde for everybody as well. And for you, this is creating moments in your romantic ideals clash with your practical realities. And so this might manifest itself in frustrations over not feeling in sync with your partner, but it's also an opportunity to reassess what really truly matters between you two so you don't feel like you're not in sync. Some things will be in sync, some things won't be in sync. It doesn't really matter. Focus on what is in sync. Juno helps you out. Juno sextile to the sun, trine to the moon, helping everybody out to ground your energy and stabilize your love life. So there is positivity throughout the challenges for all of us, and it comes through anybody who's got this long-term intention in the relationship. If you're only there for the short term, for a fling, it's going to go completely the wrong way. Okay. Aquarius, your 7th house of partnerships, is ruled by Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun. The sun is in Capricorn. Capricorn is residing in your 12th house of hidden matters and introspection, past, dreams, all that kind of scary stuff. This is suggesting that relationships this month may involve some private reflections and basically addressing your past patterns that linger beneath the surface that you basically don't look at. Amor retrograde is going to bring something up back in the past from your 5th house, Gemini, 5th house of romance. So this is encouraging you to revisit old flames, right? This is one who wants to go back to these things. Well, the stars are telling you you need to reconsider how you approach creative expression in love. So that may be that you'd basically learn something from someone from the past that helps you with your current relationship or your next one. Amor retrograde is going to square Venus, and Venus is in your 2nd house of values. Your financial house. This could create tension between your emotional needs and your practical financial concerns in your relationship. Do you have the money to spend on the activities to be able to experience the enjoyment that you really want and deepen the connection further? Have holidays, all this kind of stuff together. You might feel conflicted about how much to invest in this romantic relationship, or whether your current partner even values the same things that you do. If you're single, someone from your past might reappear or challenge you. This is a challenge, so it's challenging you to reconcile over any unresolved feelings. Venus trining Juno, Venus trining the long-term partner type of discussion is sitting in your 10th house of career. So this is helpful. Trine is always helpful. Brings some harmony to your relationship in your career, shared goals, professional connections, kind of a thing. If you're in a relationship, this is a great time to work on basically aligning your future aspirations with your partner, bring them into your world. And if you're single, you might meet someone through work anyway, or some sort of shared thing that you do. Chiron is basically in your 3rd house of communication, and it's squaring your communication, is squaring Lilith and Eros. Doesn't help. Basically, that doesn't help. With Gem, balanced communication is the energy from the mansions, and so you're going to need to focus on Gem a lot. You're going to have to think, basically what I'm saying to you is think about balancing your communication. Think of your feelings and think of the other person's situation and feelings, and try to come as a mediator into your discussions. Now, Lilith and Eros, which are square, your house of communication, Lilith and Eros conjunct are in your 12th house of past. So this could highlight insecurities around expressing your true feelings, especially if past wounding is making you hesitant to open up. Imagine having to have an honest conversation, but fearing how your words will be received, right? So this is an aspect which is basically going to push you. It's a square. It's going to push you to confront those fears and force you to be able to talk about these things with your partner. Now, the conjunction with Lilith and Eros is a magnetic thing as well. It's an energy that comes to your private life. So you might feel a strong attraction to someone in a quiet or unconventional setting, like a retreat or a late night conversation. But the square, remember, it's a square. It's a challenge, it's a misunderstanding, could complicate things as well. So focus on building trust and being authentic, being balanced in your communication, even if there are past wounds that you need to basically discuss. Well, maybe if you meet someone new, it might be past wounding that you need to discuss with them as well. You might not have to open up to them earlier than you normally do. Vesta in trining the Psyche is, again, for all of us, it's going to be getting collaborative. So getting out and doing things, just spending time with your partner can really help you. Share time with them as opposed to stay on your phone, like I said so many times in this reading. Psyche in Pisces. Psyche, your mental picture is squaring Amor retrograde. So disconnect possibly between what you want and the reality of your current situation with whether it is an ex or not. It might make you question whether you're on the same page as your ex anymore. You may be not anymore, right? So this is what you learn from rekindling old flames and energies like these, where you have strong potential for someone to come back. You might learn that they're no longer the kind of person that you expected them to be, and so you can then heal from that ideology and realign what you want in your life, maybe stabilizing your current relationship with your current partner or whoever you are seeking to align with. You are more aligned and ready to come into a relationship with this next person. Juno, helping you out in terms of the summary, is going to sextile the sun, trine the moon, grounding energy, practical, emotional, fulfilling relationships. And so you're going to let go of what no longer serves you. No longer serves your emotional well-being, to solidify any connection that you have now or is coming. Pisces, you're the last one, 7th house of partnership, same thing, is ruled by Virgo. Virgo's ruler is Mercury. Mercury is in Capricorn. Capricorn is the 11th house of friendships and social circles, so that plays a big role in your love life this month. Amor retrograde is your 4th house of family, pushing you to reflect on how past family, any people in your family, mother, father, auntie, uncle, arguments you've had with them, how they impact your relationships. With Amor retrograde and also squaring Venus, which is your 1st house of self, could create tension between your desire for emotional closeness and your need for personal growth as well. So a partner might feel like you're focusing too much on yourself. You might feel like your needs are not being prioritized in a relationship, and this is a disconnection, of course, a misunderstanding. For singles, someone from your past might reappear, or you might be the one reaching out to them. The challenging for either is to decide if either fits into the life that you're now building. Venus trining Juno in Scorpio. So Juno, the long-term marriage engagement, long-term discussions of relationships in your 9th house of long-term vision and belief system. So this goes really, really well, doesn't it? Juno in your 9th house, trining, getting an assisting hand from Venus. How much better can it get? So this is really supporting harmonious connections with those who share your spiritual and philosophical outlook. If you're partnered, this is a great time to plan for the future together, discuss trips and different things you want to do. And if you're single, you might meet someone with a worldly or adventurous vibe, someone who's travelled a lot. Chiron in Aries, Chiron in your 2nd house of values squares the Lilith and Eros conjunction in your 11th house of friendships. Your values, your finances, your money house versus your friendships. This is a tension which could bring insecurities around your self-worth and whether you're really deserve to be in the social circles you're in, how you perceive yourself in these circles. You might worry about whether you're contributing enough to relationships there, or feel so unsure about how a partner actually values you as well. Now, the Lilith conjunction with Eros will add intensity to your social interactions and potentially spark up an attraction through a group event or a shared interest. If you're single though, you might meet someone in a casual setting with some surprise about them and the depth that they have. However, the square to Chiron is going to remind you to address any inner doubts that could sabotage the connection. Make yourself ready before you end up connecting with anybody. Get through Chiron's healing so in other words, your financial house, your 2nd house, that might be causing you to feel insecurity, that you don't have enough the kind of money that you need, or you feel not enough for the person that you really wish to be with. You can't bring enough to the table, in other words. Vesta in Scorpio trining Psyche in Pisces, and so your mental picture is in your 1st house. You're reflecting a lot in yourself, and you're getting help from Vesta. Help in Vesta, doing the chores, the hard work and focus. You want to basically share experiences with other people on a soul level. Whether you're partnered or single doesn't matter. If you're able to find some connection between your partner, whether they're there now or whether they're coming or whether it's next, build together by sharing what you like. All right, this is what Vesta and trining Psyche is about for everybody. But Psyche in Pisces is squaring Amor retrograde. So these are moments in your mind where your romantic ideal might not match up with the reality that you're facing, especially if it comes from an ex. So there may be some miscommunication. It could be about family issues, questioning whether the relationship fits into your long-term goals. Imagine you connecting with an ex and then your family having a big problem with it. However, Juno, sextile to the sun, trine to the moon, is giving you the confidence that this could be a grounding, a stable relationship connection. And so you might then get some hope to be able to challenge your family or even help make your family understand the relationship that you're potentially building, whether it's an ex or not. Right, so that's all the signs. That's asteroidal astrology for January, with Amor retrograde playing the main theme. Amor retrograde is what's really helpful to understand, because a lot of the tarot readers are talking about exes and people coming back in January, and they pull this energy from the cards, but they don't know that essentially it's coming from the asteroids. And so there's no need to ask any spirits or anything in tarot reading, about these kind of things. The timing is something they can never tell you. The timing is more astrological. So now is the time when Amor retrograde is going to bring about this energy, surprises in the full moon of January. And the mansions is going to help guide you. All the energy that I talked about with Geme and 3 and Procyon, Test, the mansions, the precious little things that are important in life, and how the precious little things in life are essentially this Vesta trining Psyche, which is to share connections and do things together, and rather than stay away apart and on your phone too much, and share moments together, activities and things. Go out and do the small things in life which will help you build that connection and go through these challenges are going to be coming up with these squares and all these things, right? So this is how asteroidal astrology coupled with the mansions is basically going to deepen your understanding of astrology and give you more accurate understanding of your relationships. Month to month, I'm going to give you this information if you like it, so that you don't have to rely on tarot, because a lot of the times tarot just goes off on one and never comes true. It's just telling you about what the other person's thinking, doesn't tell you what's going to happen, or what could happen and how you can face these energies from the secrets from the mansions. Or if you are a tarot reader, you could use this to confirm your readings, whether they're spot on or not, as well as whether they're timed correctly too. So this I see is the future. Help me out. If you like it, like, subscribe, share, and give me your comments. Let me know if you understood what I was telling you, if you liked what I was telling you, there's different angle, and if you want more of it, I'll be happy to help you out. See you next time.